And then the leftovers we get to have tomorrow.
So in this video today, I am sharing a meal prep video, and I'm just going to share with you guys the foods that I was able to make from scratch in the past week. All right, so today we're having the A2 whole milk plain yogurt. We do the plain yogurt, and we're having with it some leftover peach cobbler, and then we canned some strawberry marionberry jam, preserves, I don't know what it is. This is what it turned into. Deliciousness. So this is actually going to be our lunch today. It's a bit of a treat, but it is a hearty, healthy, filling treat. Tonight it's leftover soups. We have this beef stew. It's so gelatinousy. I added a little bit of water to it, just a smidge to kind of thin it out a little bit, but and to get it, you know, more brothy for the kiddos. So they can choose between this one or the chicken pozole verde. Hopefully they don't all want the same one. They're both delicious soups. I'm glad that I have leftovers, and I'm glad that I had a can of soup. Made this last night, and we're just gonna have it again because Mama's not feeling so hot. One thing I get asked a lot is, how do I stay motivated to cook from scratch for my family? And for me, it's not so much about motivation as it is about discipline, because I'm not so motivated to get up, especially when I'm not feeling well, but I have to get up and cook for my family, and it's especially important to me to feed them foods from scratch. One thing that is kind of a hiccup in our lifestyle is I have to eat differently from my children, and my husband also eats differently than I or my children. So there's a lot of different meals being made in this home, but they're all focused around nutrient-dense foods made from scratch with love whenever possible. So on this morning, I am slicing up some homemade bread. We're going to toast that up and slather it in tons of butter for the kids. They're going to have fried dippy eggs that we get from the lady down the road. And then I am peeling and cubing up these sweet potatoes. This is part of my breakfast that I'm going to eat later on. On this day, I'm going to have a brunch because this morning I have to get to the ENT doctor to have my throat checked out. I've got another infection that I've been getting recurrent for the last 8 years. I have Hashimoto's and celiac, and recently I've developed scleroderma antibodies. So my body is having an autoimmune party, and I'm the only one sober. We're just trying to heal with food.
All right. I've got some chicken tenderloins I'm going to cook down here in the oven. I've got this carne asada. I'm going to cook this sliced thin on the stove top. And my stove's a mess right now. Just ignore it. There's a lot going on around here. So we're also going to make some rice in the Instant Pot. I'll probably just bring it over here and cook the rice over here. And we're going to saute up these vegetables. I'm going to season it all deliciously. And we're going to have some tortillas also, so everybody has a choice: rice, tortillas, veggies, chicken, or beef. And then the leftovers we get to have tomorrow. So cook twice. Cook once, eat twice. I always get that wrong. It's cook twice, eat once. It's cook once, eat twice. Okay, for the chicken, we're just going to do a little bit of this chili verde, and I need to put a little bit of olive oil in both of those. So we're just going to do a little bit of that. We don't want to overpower it too much and, you know, make the kids mad.
Have you discovered the joy of sheet pan cooking? And I realize it now that I'm watching this back. I was sick at the time, so I wasn't thinking clearly, but I should have thrown those peppers and onions on the sheet pan with my chicken and just roasted it all in the oven together. So when I do this, I cook these at 375 for about 20 minutes, depending on the thickness of your chicken tenderloins. And then we are going to thin slice this grass-fed beef that we got from a local farm. And this is carne asada, so we're just thin slicing it, and we are going to season it up with a packet of chorizo seasoning. We are going to saute it in our cast iron skillet.
This is some turkey broth that I canned up in 2022, December 2022, so not quite a year ago. And then this is rice that I've rinsed. 3 cups of rice.
You know, if you're a mom, there's no such thing as days off unless you have a really extensive support network and people you can trust. When I'm down and out, it just means my husband steps up and does what he can to help out around the house, and I still continue to cook all of the meals. So that's been my focus. This chicken, this meat, these peppers and onions. This is what I was talking about in my grocery haul, was when you saute these up, they don't really turn out the greatest. So maybe they would do better on the sheet pan roasted in the oven. So Aaron's eating rice, chicken, beef, the peppers. He's got the works on there.
Flip.
And this is dinner. And then we've got the salsa. It's looking a little pink, but that seems to be the color of the salsas I make. It has onion, jalapeno, tomatoes, and 1 garlic clove in it. We didn't have any cilantro, but it's still really tasty. September is harvest season around here, so all the pears are ripe, all the apples are ripe, so many things are ripe, and I have been using these pears up in a whole bunch of crisps for the kids. With the oatmeal, I don't eat oats, but they do, so we make all of those delicious fruit, oatmeal bakes, and all sorts of things with the produce this time of year. But these pears, I had meant to get them canned up, but they started to yellow and get ripe, so I am going to dehydrate them on this day. Because I wasn't feeling well, I just delayed the pear processing. But that's the beauty of having multiple ways of preserving food, is if you can't get to your fruit or whatever in time to get it canned up, then you can dehydrate it, you can freeze it, you can do whatever you gotta do to save it for another day to make your pear sauce or to have your pear snacks. And I will say, I dehydrated all of these pears and they were gone within 2 days. The kids just ate all of the dehydrated pears. They really like them. I think I might have gotten to taste 1 or 2 pieces of pear, but the kids gobbled them up. I'm putting the pears in a solution of water and citric acid just to keep them from browning in the dehydrating process. You don't necessarily have to do that, but they will oxidize and turn brown. So you can try using lemon juice with some water on your fruit to prevent it from browning, or citric acid. The next morning we had lentil porridge. This is oatmeal with lentils in it, and I'm going to share the recipe with you later on in this video, but the kids were eating this a bunch during this week for breakfast. It's really yummy. They love it. All right, for lunch today we had oatmeal for breakfast. We're having eggs and rice for lunch, and the kids are having fruit like kiwi, apples, pears, whatever they want. They're having fruit, so this is just the main course. I have been on a meatball kick, and a few videos back I shared with you guys my beef meatball recipe, and then on this day I am making it with half beef and half deer sausage. So we've got ground beef, then I put about a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast in there. I also did about 1/2 cup of almond meal. This is 3 tablespoons of parsley. And then we're gonna put about a teaspoon each of onion powder, garlic powder, dehydrated onions, and dehydrated chopped garlic. We're also gonna go in with the 2 eggs that you see there. And we're gonna mix all of this up. You wouldn't know that this was a gluten-free recipe. In fact, if I were to taste these meatballs, I would ask for the recipe and I would continue to make my meatballs this way because it's so delicious. The kids love them. Aaron loves them. They prefer these meatballs over the ones sold at Costco. We got some chicken meatballs from there a while back, and let me just tell you, nothing beats homemade meatballs, and you can bake them in your oven. They're super easy. You see here I'm just kneading the meatball mixture together. I like to use a small cookie scoop to dish out the proportions of meatballs, and then I go in with gloved hands and I roll the meatballs into nice neat little meatballs, and then I bake them in the oven at 375 for about 20 minutes. Halfway through, flip your meatballs over and they come out looking like this, nice and yummy. Actually, I didn't flip mine, who am I kidding? And then we just douse them in some organic tomato sauce from Costco. Cook up the noodles and feed the hungry family. Like I said, Aaron and I, we're just gonna eat the meatballs. Every morning the kids wake up and they start their schoolwork, and then I get breakfast going. Once breakfast is done, they take a break from school and they eat. So this morning I'm going to share with you kind of a meal that we've been eating a lot lately for breakfast because the kids really like it, and I found a way to add protein into this meal and just a way to make it more rounded out. So we're gonna have an oatmeal porridge, but it's an oatmeal lentil porridge. One of the subscribers gave me the idea to use or to make porridge with lentils, and so that's what I've done that before, and I've shared that in a meal prep video previously on my channel, but now we're just adding red lentils in with our oatmeal, but we're cooking the lentils a little bit first, and then we're adding in the oatmeal and all of the other ingredients. And then I sweeten it with sugar, like organic cane sugar, maple syrup, or honey, whatever you have at home to sweeten your porridge with. And then they dollop it with either plum sauce or strawberry preserve or some kind of fruit preserve that we have made in the last year. We just grabbed something off the shelf, and that's what we're using to sweeten it with. And the kids really love it. It satisfies them. It keeps their bellies full until lunchtime. They're able to concentrate and get all their schoolwork done, so it's worked out really well for my family. Maybe you'll give it a try in your home. Let's see how you like it. And this is the devastation after making breakfast and not cleaning up fully yesterday.
That?
Cinnamon.
I don't like cinnamon.
You don't like cinnamon?
No.
It's cinnamon. I don't eat oatmeal because it's a high histamine for me. Ooh, there's my liquid IV electrolyte drink. You can save 15% off, link down below in the video's description. But here is my delicious tortilla scrambled eggs we've got some sweet potatoes in there, topped with avocados, doused with homemade salsa, drizzled with a little bit of sriracha. Yeah, it hurts, but it's delicious. All right, for breakfast this morning, I thinly sliced up some potatoes with my cheese grater slicer. And I fried them in some lard and got them nice and crispy, but oh my goodness, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pour my eggs on them. That's 5 eggs. This is what I'm gonna have for brunch today. I really eat maybe 1 to 2 big meals a day and some fruit. I mean, by meals, I mean like I'll eat something like this, 5 eggs and 2 potatoes and some fruit, and then maybe a smoothie. And then dinner, it just depends on what I make the family. I'll eat part of it or whatever. I'll eat part of whatever I make them for dinner, assuming it doesn't have any gluten in it. Sometimes I make them, like the other night I made them spaghetti and meatballs. But I just ate the meatballs. My neighbor came over and gave us these beautiful peppers, some cherry tomatoes, and some other produce here. So these came from Aaron works part-time at a golf course, and his boss brought him peaches, and there's some apples in there too, but we're getting another box of peaches today, so I'm gonna make some peach something with all the peaches, some peach jam or preserve of some sort. And then we've got the carne asada from the farm. We're gonna throw these in the Instant Pot slow cooker with some lard, some peppers, and some onions, and maybe some, I've got some chipotle seasoning, so maybe I'll put those in with it. And then these are gonna slow cook all day long, and we're gonna have them on some tortillas later on. So I'm thinking, depending on how I'm feeling later in the day, or maybe I'll try to make them early in the day, because I can get a lot more done early in the day, and as the day goes on, I get more pain and my muscles kind of spaz out a lot more. So it makes it harder for me to get dinners and stuff done at dinner time. So I try to do everything early in the day that I can so that I can rest in my evenings. My phone must have heard me talking about how dull my knives were, or maybe my phone heard me talking about slicing my thumb nearly all the way off. But either way, Nankeno sent me these beautiful, incredibly sharp kitchen knives, which I'm really excited about. So I'm going to be using these quite a bit in my videos coming up. So linked down below in the video's description, I'm going to leave you a discount code and a link to these Nankeno knives. And you can check them out yourself. They are razor sharp and they cut everything really, really well. So let's get to slicing up these peppers that the neighbor sent us and an onion, get this carne asada cooking, and then we're gonna shred it up later on for dinner. It's gonna be tasty. Once we get the meat going, we are going to make some homemade gluten-free tortillas. This is my first time trying to make gluten-free tortillas. There's a bit of a learning curve with anything that you try that's new, so we're gonna learn how to make these tortillas together on my channel, and I might not get it right the first time, but I'll do much better the second time around. This tortilla recipe is the same as the regular corn flour tortilla recipe. All I'm doing is substituting 1-to-1 flour in this recipe. Earlier in this video, I made the meat with the carne asada, and I used store-bought tortillas because I wasn't feeling the best, and I keep a pack of those in the freezer. But on this day, I'm feeling much better, so we are going to make homemade tortillas. Now, admittedly, I should have probably put a little bit more moisture into this dough, maybe a little bit more fat, but I ran out of lard. However, the tortillas were slightly, just a smidge thick. They served the purpose, and the whole family gobbled them up. They were really tasty. And this tortilla press that Carol sent me is amazing. I love using it, and my family loves eating their tortillas. So there we go. We squished it nice and flat. Maybe if I had more moisture in the dough, it would have been a little bit more flat. So we're going to throw this in our oiled skillet, and we're going to do a minute on each side. Ideally, you would use lard for this part of the cooking of these tortillas, but I'm out of lard, at least in my kitchen. I have to go out to the deep freezer and get a little glass jar of lard back into my kitchen, but I ran out on this day and just I wasn't patient enough to wait. So we're doing the best we can with what we have, and that's with everything in life. I am putting these tortillas between 2 damp paper towels, and I'm keeping them covered with a lid over there. On the top of your screen, you can see the white and the lid, and we're just going to do that while these cook up. Of course, I'm using olive oil, and it has a high smoke or a low smoking point, so that's why you see so much smoke. But these turned out delicious. And it's a learning curve. We're going to get a hang of these gluten-free. This is the first time I've made them gluten-free. Yeah, saw it here first. Give it a try. Don't be afraid to try things. As long as the taste is there and it's edible, that is good. You will get better every time you make a new recipe. I promise you will. Just keep trying, and you can tweak things. And, you know, sometimes you're going to put a different kind of love in your recipe than what I'm going to put into it. So they might taste slightly different, but they all nourish us. All the food nourishes us. So enjoy these tortillas. And clearly the olive oil wasn't working for me, so I switched it over to butter. When really what I should have done was used that tallow that's on the right side in the little blue enameled teacup. That's what I should have been using to fry these in, and I should have used that in the rest of the recipe to substitute for lard, but I used a speck of butter, and yeah, they didn't turn out the greatest, but this is a lesson learned, and they'll turn out better next time. If I don't have lard, I'll use some softened tallow, but I've just got to get out to my freezer and bring the lard inside. There's Aaron. He's anxiously awaiting dinner. Everybody's hungry right now because they can smell these delicious tortillas cooking. So once all the tortillas are cooked up, we are going to serve up this delicious meal. But shredding up meat is so much of a chore. No, it's not. Not with my patented Mixer 3000. Your shredded meat can be shredded in just seconds. If you haven't tried this, it works great for chicken. If you cook your chicken, you can shred it up with your egg beater. If you cook your meat till it's soft, you can shred it up with your egg mixer, your egg beater, your whatever this is. It works great, and that's how I shred up my meat. And when you have your Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, you can use whatever toppings you like. On this night, we're using our salsa that we made in our Vitamix blender. The recipe is in my last meal prep video. And some avocado. This was really yummy. Oh my goodness, barbacoa. Delicious. All right, this morning we've got homeschool, so I made it real easy. I just dumped some water and some instant oatmeal, some peaches, some butter. I'm getting ready to throw some cinnamon on top, but some mornings this is what fast food looks like. I'm not in the best condition today. I'm pretty exhausted and my body's kind of worn out. So on mornings like this when I need help, things like quick meals, oatmeals, things of this nature that are quick, that I don't have to stand at the stove for a long time. Okay, one more breakfast idea. This is onions, red peppers in my skillet. Both the onions and the red peppers came from my freezer. And then I have some freeze-dried zucchini I'm going to throw in there as well. These are all cooking in butter. And then we're going to scramble up some eggs, pour those on top, and we are just going to make this a delicious egg scramble. I failed to show you the end result, but you get the idea. Let's scramble up these eggs. Let's feed these hungry kids. And sadly, on this day, I ran out of space on my camera to record, so I wasn't able to record the finished product, but that's okay. Let's get on to the next meal. Okay, I'm making a smoothie, and it has blueberries, frozen bananas, mangoes, honey, protein, some yogurt, and that's what we're gonna blend up right now. All right, friends, we have this gigantic choice beef chuck pot roast right here that we're going to cook up. I did not pay $35 for it. I got it for like $4.47 per pound. That was the price with the card. This $8.49 is the price without a card. If you have a card, it's $6.47. If you bought it on sale, it was $4.40 something cents or whatever. So I didn't pay that much. I saved way more than that. I saved like $20 on it. So we're going to get this going. It's a beautifully marbled, delicious chuck roast. I'm just going to throw it in here and get it started. Y'all, I don't buy meat from the grocery store a lot, but they got a darn detector theft control in this thing. So I'm going to put this in my skillet and just get it browned up. All right, here we go. See if I can get this hunk of meat flipped over. Need to let it get a little bit more brown. We need a little bit more browning than that to make it tasty. There we go. That's how it should look. Lots of flavor. Ooh, hot. splattering everywhere. A little good coating of salt. Some buttermilk stuff on here. Just gonna slow cook all day. I just put some hot boiling water onto my pan to get all those drippings out of there, and I'm gonna dump them into my slow cooker. All that flavor. All right, and then I just decided, because this is how we cook in this house. We cook, what do I have? What can I make? How can we make this delicious? How can we make this flavorful? How can we make this good? So we throw an onion in it. That's what we do. That's how we do it. We do it like that. Now, this time I'm for real. I'm just going to let this cook all day. Oh my gosh, this is so tender. This is amazing.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
It is so good.
It is so good.
We're just going to eat on this. All right, so we have reheated, slow cooked up this roast again, and I've got some in my bowl with all of the fat, thick drippings that are now liquid, but it was very gelatinous, very fatty broth, so we're gonna eat that. We've got our real salt right here. We're gonna put on some real salt and enjoy this breakfast.